My girlfriend sneered that she could effortlessly find someone better than me, so I moved out without a word, and her influencer life fell apart overnight. I'm Paul, I'm 36, a dentist in San Francisco. My life runs on schedules, appointments, cleanings, x-rays, lunch breaks that last exactly 30 minutes. I like things predictable. My idea of a perfect night is making dinner at home, finishing a podcast, and reading in bed before 11. I met Ivy at a bakery near my clinic. She was behind the counter, flower on her sleeves, smiling like she actually liked being there. She handed me a coffee and said, "You look too serious for a muffin." That was the first thing she ever said to me. I laughed more than I probably should have. She was 28, part-time baker, part-time everything else. She filmed little videos of herself frosting cupcakes or arranging croissants and posted them online. I thought it was cute. She had maybe 5,000 followers back then. I didn't even have an Instagram account. She liked that. She said it made me mysterious. Dating her was fun at first. We balanced each other. I was structured. She was spontaneous. She'd make me skip the gym to drive to the beach on a Tuesday night because the sunset was too good to waste. I'd remind her to pay her phone bill on time. It worked for a while. After a year, we started talking about moving in together. My place was a small one-bedroom near Mission Bay. It was quiet, nothing fancy. Ivy said it was too clinical, which felt like a weird thing to call an apartment, but I let it go. She started sending me listings, rooftop views, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture. Every single one looked like a hotel lobby. When she showed me the penthouse in Soma, I laughed. "You know that's $4,500 a month, right?" She didn't blink. "It's not just rent, it's an investment in my content. The lighting, the backdrop, it's perfect for brand deals." I told her we could find something cheaper. She said, "I can't film in a box, Paul. My followers expect an aesthetic." She said it so confidently that I almost believed it was a real business reason and not just a dream. I ran the numbers later that night. I could technically afford it if I adjusted a few things. Fewer weekend trips, less eating out. Her bakery income was barely $30,000 a year, but I figured she'd pick up more hours. I told myself it would be fine. When we signed the lease, I noticed the agent only put my name down. Ivy's credit didn't qualify. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just wanted her to be happy. She promised we'd split it proportionally. That meant I paid $3,600. She paid $900. She called it fair. I called it love, I guess. We ended up spending almost 2 years in that penthouse. By the time things unraveled, we'd been together just over 3 years. The first month in the penthouse was exciting. She'd spend hours filming coffee pours and mirror shots of her outfits. She rearranged furniture for better angles. I tried to work around it. Literally, some mornings I'd be rushing out for a patient, and she'd ask me not to walk through the living room because she was filming a clean apartment morning vibe. I started keeping a spare shirt at the clinic because she once told me my scrubs ruined her shot. At night, she'd scroll through her phone showing me comments. "Look, someone said they love our view." The more she filmed, the less we talked. She'd stay up editing videos while I read on the couch. Sometimes she'd ask if I thought her captions sounded authentic. I never knew what that meant, so I'd just nod. She liked spontaneous plans, late dinners, surprise weekend trips. I liked knowing what I was doing ahead of time. She said I was too predictable. I said she was all over the place. Neither of us was wrong. One night I came home to find her sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by boxes from some skincare brand. "They sent me a PR package," she said, eyes shining. "This is what it feels like to make it." I smiled, but something in my chest felt off. It was like I wasn't part of her world anymore, just background in her highlight reel. She started filming everything. Breakfast, coffee, our living room at golden hour. She'd hum to herself, while the camera timer blinked red. I still tried to make it work. I bought her a better phone tripod for her birthday, even though I didn't really understand why she needed 3 already. I kept paying the rent on time. I told myself the imbalance was temporary, that maybe her content would actually turn into something big. By the 3rd month, she had started calling the penthouse her studio. That word stuck with me. It started with a video about matcha. She filmed herself whisking green tea in slow motion with sunlight hitting the counter. The clip was 15 seconds long. Nothing special. 2 days later, it had 500,000 views. I came home from work and she was sitting on the floor surrounded by packages, her phone blowing up with notifications. "Paul, this is insane," she said, grinning. "People love me. I think I'm finally onto something." I smiled, said good for her, and went to make dinner. I figured it was just a fluke, but it wasn't. A week later, she hit 50,000 followers. Then 100,000. She started getting free products in the mail, skincare, supplements, kitchen gadgets. Soon brands started paying her to post. Real money too. The bakery job ended a month later. She said she needed to focus on content full-time. She made around 80,000 that year, but the spending matched it fast. Designer shoes, outfits, lighting gear, all investments. Our apartment looked like a warehouse of sponsored boxes and tripods. She started talking differently too. Less about baking, more about the algorithm and personal branding. She stopped asking me about my day, just asked if I could hold the camera. I didn't mind at first. I wanted her to have something she was proud of. Then she started looking down on everything else. "You're too comfortable, Paul," she said one night while scrolling through her phone. "Don't you ever feel stuck? You've been doing the same thing for years." "I run a clinic," I said. "It's steady. It pays well. That's not ambition. That's maintenance." I didn't know what to say. She wasn't being mean exactly, but there was something cold about the way she said it, like she believed it. The more attention she got online, the less she noticed anything else. Dinner would get cold while she edited. We'd be halfway through a movie, and she'd pause to check comments. I'd wake up to find her sitting on the floor filming her morning routine. She stopped eating the pastries she used to love because sugar bloats on camera. The apartment didn't feel like ours anymore. It was her set. One afternoon, I came home with groceries. She was in the living room rearranging throw pillows for a shoot. "Can you move that bag out of the frame?" she said without looking up. Later, when she finally sat down, she opened the fridge and frowned. "Why did you buy this brand?" she said, holding up a bottle of sparkling water. "It was on sale," I said. "It's the same stuff." She stared at the label like it had insulted her. "You know I don't drink this one. It's cheap. It messes with my skin. And I'm in talks with Hydroloft. River Fizz is their competitor. I can't have their label in my shots. It's just water, Ivy." "No, it's not just water. This is about paying attention. You don't get it, do you? Everything I use, everything I show, it represents me, my image, my brand." I leaned on the counter. "It's for the fridge, not your feed. We're not filming a campaign right now." She crossed her arms. "That's your problem. You think small. You act like life's supposed to be about being comfortable. You know, you're lucky I'm still here. I could be in Cabo with someone who appreciates me." For a second I almost said sorry, old habit, but I didn't. "Then book the flight," I said quietly. Her face went still, like she hadn't heard me right. Normally she'd expect me to chase after her or smooth things over. This time I didn't move. She grabbed her phone, muttered something about needing air, and left. I unpacked the rest of the groceries alone. That night she didn't come home until after midnight. I was half asleep when she climbed into bed and scrolled through her notifications. She said nothing, and neither did I. The next few days felt off. She barely talked to me unless it was about filming. I kept things polite but short. She noticed. I could tell by how often she looked at me waiting for a reaction. Online she doubled down, mantras about hustle, energy, independence, folded into neatly packaged reels. I didn't comment, but I read them twice. At home she was colder, but overly nice when she needed something. "Can you drive me to a brand event? Or can you look over this contract?" I said yes the first few times, then started saying I was busy. I still paid the rent, the bills, everything, on time. I still came home to the same apartment, but it felt like I was just a background extra now. One evening she filmed a video in the kitchen about luxury self-care nights and asked me to stay quiet while she spoke to the camera about gratitude. When she was done, she glanced at me and said, "You could smile more, you always look tired." I almost laughed. "Yeah, probably." She went back to filming. I watched her through the reflection in the window, ring light, fake smile, perfect posture. Somewhere in that moment I realized I didn't recognize the person standing there. She wasn't the girl who handed me a muffin with flour on her cheek. She was someone who measured her life in likes and sponsorships. Over the next couple of weeks we circled the same fight. She wanted last-minute trips and energy. I wanted a calendar. We'd go quiet. Then she'd post about real connections and big things coming. The gap just kept widening. It was Ivy's sister's birthday. Not a big party, just dinner with family at their parents' house. Her mom cooked, her dad opened a bottle of sparkling juice, and there were balloons taped unevenly on the wall. Normal. Simple. Nice. When we got there, her family greeted us warmly. Her mom hugged me, her dad shook my hand, and her sister Emily, freshly 26, was already sitting at the table smiling. Everyone was joking about her quarter-life crisis. Ivy laughed, but even then she somehow made it about herself. "Trust me, Emily, 28 is way more intense," she said, adjusting her hair for a selfie. Dinner started fine. Her mom made roast chicken and mashed potatoes. Her dad asked about my clinic. I told him business was steady. He seemed genuinely interested, asked a few follow-up questions. Ivy didn't say a word through most of it. She was scrolling on her phone under the table. Then Emily asked, "So Ivy, how's the influencer stuff going? You still doing the brand videos?" Ivy straightened up like she'd been waiting for that question. "It's going great. I've got a couple of sponsorships lined up. I might even start my own product line soon." Her mom clapped her hands softly. "That's amazing, sweetie." Her dad smiled. "Good for you. I hope you're saving some of that income." Ivy laughed, high-pitched and defensive. Of course, Dad. I'm investing in my brand. The apartment, the shoots, it's all part of it. He nodded but didn't say more. The conversation drifted to something about Emily's new job. Ivy looked bored, stirring her drink. When the cake came out, everyone sang, took photos, and laughed. For a moment it felt like old times. But then Ivy changed the mood. She looked across the table at me and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know, I wish Paul would celebrate me the way we celebrate everyone else." The room went quiet. Her mom blinked. "What do you mean, honey?" Ivy set her fork down. "He's just distant. Like he doesn't care about what I'm building. I work hard too, but he treats it like a hobby." I tried to stay calm. "Ivy, this isn't really the time." She ignored me. "It's just frustrating. I feel like I'm outgrowing this relationship sometimes." Her dad cleared his throat. "Maybe this isn't the best place to talk about that." But Ivy kept going. "No, I think it is. Everyone should know how hard it is to build something when the person next to you doesn't support you." I put my fork down and looked at her. My voice stayed steady. "Every time something doesn't go your way, you talk about leaving. Maybe one day you'll actually do it." Silence. You could hear the air conditioner humming. Emily looked down at her plate. Her mom froze mid-bite. Her dad exhaled through his nose and said quietly, "He's not wrong, Ivy." That hit her harder than anything I said. Her face twisted somewhere between shock and anger. Unbelievable. You're all taking his side. On my sister's birthday. Her mom reached out. "Sweetheart, no one's taking sides." "Forget it," Ivy said, standing up. "I can't deal with this energy right now." She grabbed her purse and stormed out of the dining room. The front door slammed a second later. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Then her mom sighed. "I'm so sorry, Paul. She's been under a lot of pressure." "I know," I said quietly. Her dad nodded. "You've been patient with her more than most would." I didn't answer that. I just helped clear the dishes, while Emily cut the leftover cake into smaller pieces to store. Everyone moved slowly, like we were trying not to break something fragile. When I finally left, her mom hugged me again. "Please drive safe," she said softly. Outside, Ivy was sitting in the car with her arms crossed, staring out the window. I got in without saying anything. She started the car but didn't drive yet. "You embarrassed me," she said finally. "I told the truth," I said. "You made me look like an idiot in front of my family. You didn't need my help for that." She turned to glare at me. "You're supposed to support me, Paul, not tear me down." I looked out the windshield. Support doesn't mean staying quiet while you rewrite reality. She gripped the wheel, jaw tight, then drove off. The rest of the ride was silent. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom and slammed the door. I sat in the living room for a while, listening to her footsteps upstairs. An hour later, she posted a photo of herself from the dinner, smiling, perfect lighting, captioned, "Sometimes distance is the price of growth. Not everyone will understand your path." I just shook my head, turned off my phone, and went to bed. The week after that dinner, Ivy barely spoke to me. She'd leave early for brand meetings and come back late smelling like perfume and hairspray. The house was quiet except for her phone notifications. I kept my routine: clinic, gym, groceries, home. But it didn't feel like home anymore. One morning, while she was filming in the kitchen, I went down to the leasing office on my way to work. The manager, Karen, recognized me immediately. I'd been the one handling all the rent payments, maintenance requests, everything. "Morning, Paul," she said. "Everything all right?" "Yeah," I said. "I just wanted to check when our lease ends." She typed for a few seconds, then said, 4 days from now." "Are you planning to renew?" "No," I said. "Not this time." Karen nodded. "All right. Since the lease is in your name only, it'll just expire automatically if you don't renew. Ivy's listed as an occupant, not a leaseholder. You're the sole signer." That told me everything I needed to know. I thanked her, filled out the short form to decline renewal, and left. On my walk to the clinic, I started looking at listings. I found a small one-bedroom near work for $2,100 a month. Clean, quiet, balcony facing the street. It didn't look impressive, but it looked peaceful. That night, while Ivy was live streaming in the living room, I was on my laptop finalizing my application. When she finished, she asked what I was working on. "Just something for me," I said. She didn't ask again. Over the next week, I started organizing my side of things: utilities, internet, subscriptions, all in my name. I opened each account and scheduled cancellations for the last day of the lease. I called the car dealership about the Audi she drove. The loan was in her name. My card was just on file for autopay because her own card wasn't approved when she got it. I told them I was removing my autopay and that she'd be responsible for future payments. They said fine as long as she covered it. When she found out, she came storming into my home office holding her phone like a weapon. "Did you cancel the car payment?" "I took my name off," I said. "Are you serious?" My sponsor event is next week. I need that car. You can still have it, I said. You just have to pay for it. I've covered the rent, utilities, and your car for months. Taking my card off your loan isn't control. It's a boundary. She glared at me. This is financial abuse. I almost laughed, but didn't. You've been saying you want independence. I'm just making sure you actually have it. Her face went red. You're sabotaging me. You're trying to make me fail. I've propped this up long enough, I said, standing. You keep saying you want independence. This is what it looks like. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the person in front of her. She left without a word and closed the door with 2 careful clicks. After that, I didn't bother hiding what I was doing. I packed boxes slowly, starting with books, then clothes. I canceled the cleaning service she liked to film with because she never tipped them. I called the internet company and switched the disconnection date. Every few days she'd bring it up again, asking if I was serious. Each time I said yes. She didn't believe me until I showed her the apartment listing I'd signed. You're really moving out? She asked. I am. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Maybe book the flight I told you about? For the first time, she looked unsure. I can't afford this place alone. I know. She blinked fast, like she was trying to process it. So that's it? You're just walking away? I'm not walking away, I said. I'm just done holding it up for both of us. She didn't reply. She just left the room. 2 days later, she started calling her realtor friends, trying to find a new apartment. I overheard her explaining her income and credit score. From her tone, it wasn't going well. I kept to myself. Work, pack, sleep. It became routine. One night, while I was boxing up kitchen stuff, she stood in the doorway. You really don't care, do you? She said quietly. I cared for 3 years, I said. You just didn't notice until I stopped. She didn't move. She looked around at the half-empty shelves, the unplugged gear, the boxes stacked near the door. After that, we barely spoke. She kept filming, but the energy was off. Her captions got longer, her smile tighter. Even her followers noticed. I saw a comment once that said, You look tired lately, she replied, just growing. The day I signed the final paperwork for my new place, I felt lighter. I loaded my car with boxes early that morning. Ivy didn't wake up. She'd stayed up late filming another motivation video. Before I left, I placed my copy of the apartment key on the counter. The rent was paid through the end of the lease. Utilities scheduled to shut off right after. Everything tied up. I looked around the penthouse one last time. The view was still nice, but it didn't mean anything anymore. It was just an expensive view of a life that had stopped feeling like mine. When I closed the door behind me, it was quiet. For the first time in a long time, that felt like peace. I moved out 2 weeks before the lease expired. The new apartment wasn't fancy, but it was mine. 1 bedroom, quiet street, short walk to the clinic. I set up a small desk by the window and bought a cheap coffee machine that didn't match anything else in the kitchen. It still felt better than that penthouse ever did. Ivy stayed behind. She kept pretending everything was fine, cueing backlog clips of the same skyline, the balcony at golden hour, so it looked like nothing had changed. But real life doesn't edit well. Within a month, things started breaking apart. Her brand deals slowed down first. The skincare company stopped replying to her emails. The wellness brand that used her in ads quietly replaced her photo with someone new. She tried to land a new sponsorship but couldn't afford the fees for the studio she used to rent for shoots. The Audi was next. She was already a month behind before I took my card off file. When the next due date hit, she missed it again. The lender started calling. A week later, they repossessed the car from the building's garage. By the end of that month, her engagement had dropped by almost half. I could tell because she used to brag about her numbers. She tried to rebrand as minimalist and authentic, but it didn't fit. She went from luxury candles and designer shoes to secondhand sweaters and photos taken in bad lighting. The tone didn't match the image she'd built. Her followers started catching on. People posted screenshots comparing her old captions about abundance to her new ones about gratitude. It didn't look like growth. It looked like collapse. I heard from a mutual friend that she was scrambling to find a new place. Her savings were low and she couldn't keep up with the rent. Luxury buildings wanted W-2 stability or 2 years of 1099 history and a 700-plus credit score. She had neither. Eventually, she found a small studio for $1,600 a month. No balcony, no view, cracked paint on the walls. The kind of place she used to call uninspired. She posted a moving photo with the caption, New beginnings, smaller space, bigger dreams. Someone commented, looks like a downgrade. Another wrote, didn't you say your boyfriend paid for everything? She deleted both. Her new content felt forced. She filmed herself making coffee by a flickering kitchen light and called it a simple morning reset. She tried posting about self-reflection and embracing humility, but the background gave her away. People noticed the stained counter and mismatched furniture. The more she tried to sound positive, the more the comments turned sarcastic. This the same girl who said luxury is self-love? Authenticity looks rough. I stopped keeping tabs on her page around that time. I didn't need to see it anymore. At work, my days felt lighter. My patients noticed I smiled more. I started running in the mornings again, cooked dinner at home most nights. I even started sleeping through the night without waking up to her late-night editing sessions. Sometimes I'd think about how quiet the new apartment was, just the sound of traffic outside and the kettle whistling. A few weeks later, her mom called. She didn't say much, just that Ivy was having a rough time. "She's staying with us some nights," her mom said softly, trying to figure things out. I told her I hoped Ivy would be okay. That was true. I didn't wish her harm. I just didn't want to be part of it anymore. Later that night, curiosity got the better of me, and I looked at her page one last time. It was private now. Her last public post showed a bare wall, a tiny plant on a wobbly table, and the caption, "Peace over perfection." No comments were visible. No likes count either. I scrolled back and found the old post from our penthouse, the one with her holding a coffee mug captioned, "Luxury isn't a lifestyle, it's a mindset." I stared at it for a few seconds, then closed the app and deleted it from my phone. That was the last time I checked. The next morning, I deleted the last picture of us from my phone, one of those couple goals photos she'd posted. It felt like clearing out old storage space, no sadness, just relief. A week later, I got a message from one of our old friends saying Ivy had started another page under a different name, trying to rebuild her brand. I didn't look for it. I had a small balcony now. On weekends, I'd sit there with coffee, watch the street below, and think about how different life felt without the constant noise. Ivy was probably somewhere trying to start over, and maybe she'd figure it out. But I finally understood something she never did. Peace doesn't photograph well, and that's why it's worth keeping. Life after Ivy was calm in a way I hadn't felt in years. My mornings started early again. Coffee, a jog, a short walk to the clinic. No staging, just ordinary sounds. I bought a few small plants for the balcony. One of them started dying, so I Googled how to fix it. That became a little routine, checking on the leaves before work, watering only on schedule. Simple things, but they kept me grounded. At the clinic, my assistant joked that I looked 10 years younger. Maybe she was right. I wasn't dragging around stress anymore. Patients noticed too. "You seem more relaxed," one said as I adjusted her chair. I smiled and said, "I finally got some peace." Most nights I'd make dinner for one, eat at the small table by the window and watch the streetlights turn on. It wasn't exciting, but it felt real. About a month later, I got a text from an unknown number. The message started with, "Hey, it's Ivy." She was using her sister Emily's phone. "I messed up," she wrote. "I threw everything away for something fake. I thought I was building a future, but I just burned everything. I miss you." I read it twice. The words didn't make me angry or sad. They just felt like they came too late. I locked my phone and set it face down on the counter. I didn't reply. 2 days later, Emily texted me separately, "Thanks for not answering her. She needs to figure things out." I said, "I hope she does." That was the last time we talked about it. From then on, my days fell into a rhythm. The clinic, a few new patients, a couple of referrals. I started volunteering once a month doing free cleanings for seniors who couldn't afford them. It wasn't a big thing, but it felt right. One Friday evening, a friend from college invited me to a small get-together at a cafe. I almost said no, but decided to go. That's where I met Emma. She worked in data analytics for a tech company downtown. She was quiet but confident, with a dry sense of humor that caught me off guard. We talked about random things, traffic, weird clients, favorite takeout spots. She asked about my work and actually listened when I explained it. No fake enthusiasm, no pretending to understand, just honest curiosity. When the group decided to get dinner afterward, she asked if I wanted to join. I said sure. We ended up splitting the bill at the end. She didn't make a big deal of it, just grabbed her half and said, "Fair's fair." And it was simple, and I liked that. We started seeing each other on weekends. No games, no staged photos, no endless arguments. She'd bring over her laptop sometimes and work quietly next to me while I read. We didn't need to fill the silence. It felt easy. One night as we walked back from dinner, she asked about my past relationships. I told her a little about Ivy. Nothing dramatic, just the truth. She wanted more than I could give, I said. Emma nodded. Or maybe she wanted something that wasn't real. That line stuck with me. By then, I barely thought about Ivy anymore. Every once in a while, a memory would surface. Her standing by the window filming, the smell of her candles, the sound of her phone buzzing non-stop. But it didn't sting. It just felt like something that happened to another person. It's been close to a year since I left that penthouse behind. Sometimes I pass the building on my drive to work. It looks smaller now. I used to think that place meant success. High ceilings, glass walls, a view of the city. Turns out all it really showed me was how far apart two people can be while standing in the same room. I heard through a mutual friend that Ivy moved back near her parents. She's working at a local bakery again, mostly morning shifts. No brand deals, no sponsorships, no big posts. I haven't looked her up. There's nothing left to see. Life now is quiet, and I mean that in the best way. I wake up early, make coffee, take a walk before heading to the clinic. My evenings are simple. Music playing softly, dinner at the small table, sometimes a book, sometimes just the sound of the street outside. Emma and I see each other most weekends. She's steady and real in a way I didn't know I needed. We talk about work, travel plans, dumb things that make us laugh. She never tries to perform or impress anyone. I don't have to filter what I say or think. It's easy. There are moments when the past crosses my mind, like when I see someone filming themselves on the sidewalk, or taking 50 pictures of their coffee. I wonder if they're happy or just pretending to be. Then I remember how quiet my apartment is, how much space I actually have to breathe, and I stop wondering. I used to think peace would feel empty, like something was missing. But it doesn't. It feels full, steady, like a deep breath you finally get to take after realizing how long you were holding it. If Ivy ever finds that feeling, I hope she keeps it this time.